Hello, my dear friends. The week passed by since my first report, and it's time, as I promised for you, a special pastime promised by Bach 300 years ago. At last, we can have together this special pastime. So, today I'll be talking about prelude and fugue number 2, C minor. And it will be not as long, of course, as the first talk was, because during the first talk I had introduced you to the entire idea of contemporary clavier, which was missed for 300 years. I just want to remind the main points which are missing. So the first of all, that it is polyphonic studies designed first of all to bring musician on the principally new level of music making. Technical, mental, physical. What else were missed so terribly? It is the primitive view on this music as a product of the Baroque time. That's one of the greatest mistakes where humanity was completely wrong. In well-tempered clavier, Bach took a completely new path, new way of composing, new way of thinking, new way of philosophy, a new way of working with musicians, together with bringing musicians' technique to unimaginable level. He as well gave freedom to his thoughts and his fantasy. This music has none of Baroque rules. It is a free flight of Bach's fantasy, where he tries to put and he puts all his knowledge, all his experience, all his fantasy, everything he wanted to tell, but in all kinds of different music, including his religious music, including his church daily work with all the cantatas, and there are big religious pieces which were definitely attached to the time, to the rules, to the kind of the pattern he should follow, producing cantatas, messes, and so forth. As well as his entertaining music as partitas, suites, concertos, they were somehow attached to the time by this or that reason. In well-tempered clavier, he was completely free. He was doing it, we can tell, for himself, but of course he was doing it for humanity, and it was designed to serve humanity forever, without time limits. Therefore, second greatest mistake after not defining the goal setting, which produced 300 years of frustration. Another grave mistake is to connect this music to Baroque time. He flew away from Baroque time, especially designing this music as timeless. Of course, we find a lot of allusions in the Baroque music, some forms, some ideas, some characters, which reflected in this music and which was the pictures and characters of his time. But the philosophical idea, the metaphysical idea was fly away from time, make timeless music and abstract music. Another grave mistake of humanity, connect this music with a particular instrument. Yes, it is a keyboard instrument, but it is an abstract instrument with an abstract sound because it is an abstract music where, in spite of didactic tasks like teaching musicians to make them acquire the unheard technique, bringing them to different civilizational level as a new man, a new people, the artist of a new civilization, which unfortunately never happened because of many mistakes humanity did, completely misreading this. So connection with any particular instrument is also very, very primitive and naive, because abstract music belongs to the abstract. The best instrument for this music is our brain, where we can play it with any imaginable sound, which is, of course, still not existing till our days, belonging to any particular instrument. Bringing to you this abstract music on the piano and squeezed by circumstances and poor development of our civilization to play this and to perform this on a very primitive instrument which did not develop for the last 150 years, at least, which is piano. Forte piano, which is not developing at all, and this is a sign of a complete stagnation of humanity, because with modern possibilities, with modern technical possibilities, we could bring the keyboard instrument named fortepiano on a totally different level, where we can have much more variety of colors, registers, possibilities, the hammer technique, and so on and so forth. We still have this ancient instrument on which I'm destined to bring to you in possible perfection the abstract ideas, abstract music with an abstract sound. So still in nowadays we have very old keyboard instrument for the piano and quite primitive and cheap synthesizers, where one can also, of course, try to find some suitable sounds for the abstract music, but still it's not yet developed to the extent when we can really be satisfied with finding the right sounds for this cosmic music, because this music is directly connected with space, with cosmos. And it's not metaphorical though. It's none of exaggeration at all. Bach was one of the rarest, or maybe the only one, who could hear the space, who could transmit space. Of course, it was all transformed in him through religious images, as he was constantly between two main points of Christianity is Christmas and Easter, resurrection and birth of He was such a hot, fresh, and strong believer. He took the idea of Jesus to his heart so deeply that his entire music is filled with these images and ideas and the philosophy of Christianity. But it never distracted him from being connected directly with the space and his ability to listen to the cosmos, to hear the cosmos, and to transmit it in his music, no matter through which particular images he would be doing this. Today we have the second prelude, C minor, and you will understand why I'm talking and stressing your attention on the space, cosmos, Jesus, Christianity. There are so many layers in Bach's music, especially in well-tempered cluster. When we have on the surface, the first layer is a pure didactic, transcendental polyphonic styles. Then when we are achieving the certain mastery and speed only, as you all know, that it always happens with transcendental styles, they reveal their artistry only when certain mastery and speed is achieved. And then we have one layer after another. I told you already in the first report from this studio that I'll try to be as laconic as possible, because if I go in details, in the musical details, harmonical details, philosophical details, the cosmical details, it will be years and years and years of talking. He says, oh, you don't need it, and I cannot do it in this particular format. So I'll try to be as short as possible. A thesis short. When I will be hopefully meeting with audiences around the world, bringing this new world to people, if they will be able to understand and receive it, then might be I will be dedicating much more time to the special before the concert, the day before the concert, some days before the concert, to several meetings with the same audience to bring them the ideas on a certain depth, which will take some hours. But not now and not in this form. So, C minor. As a study, what Sebastian wants us to do here. He is working here mostly on the independence of the thumbs. This is a very tricky finger. It's not at all that flexible as the rest four. And we use it mostly, even in modern technique, which is very funny compared to the Bach octopus technique, because it's very primitive. After Bach, everything went in more and more and more and more in progression, primitive way. Technique, harmonical language, philosophical ideas, everything was in decline and decay. Bach was the highest point of the musical civilization. He remains the highest point of our civilization in music. And this is no wonder that for 300 years, humanity didn't understand his messages in whatever time. So, thumbs. It's very difficult task here in this fuzz texture. There's a changing harmony in position constant. The communication between the second and thumb in coordination with left and right, which is also very difficult in pastime. Then he changes the task, putting the pressure after the first bar, where we have the pressure on the thumb and second. Then it is second and third, second and third, second and third. Then all together, second, third, second thumb, second, third, second thumb, second, third, second, third, second and third, fourth and third, with a changing position from the thumb jumping to the fourth and third, and changing position again and changing the pressure on particular neighboring fingers. So all neighboring fingers are working constantly and very hard in a very difficult positions. Then he puts two hands very close to each other, making thumbs working in a very fast repetition. If we not have this fast as possible repetition, we simply will not be able to play a bar. Where with such task, one bar sometimes takes months and months of work. And you shouldn't, I'm now addressing my speech to the students, you shouldn't be disappointed if something is really very, very difficult for you, because the main thing of the well-tempered poet is patience. Patience, patience, and belief. Believe in success, believe in human, believe in the possibility of human to become a superhuman, to reach the God, to reach the space, cosmos, to reach this connection which Bach had, to which he actually dedicated all his life as a virtuoso and as a composer. So we have countless different positions here. 2 and 6, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, 4 and 5, some and 1. And it goes on and on and on and on to the extent when we hardly can sustain already this pressure. Then Bach gives us a little relief, giving us a simple arpeggios with a cadence, where he again put a lot of pressure on the fourth and third and second, making them working in this connection. And very uncomfortable position for the thumb. The thumb should be as flexible as the rest of the fingers, no matter how hard it for us. But it should be smooth and nice, like we don't have extra fingers, but we have, as I told you in the first report, a universal physiological remote control. And then he saturated this very difficult texture with a great jump. When we're jumping over the octave in tempo presto, he actually stressing, which he does very, very rare, to avoid being misread and misunderstood in cadenza, he put presto. So we have to sustain the same fast tempo with all these jumps. Over and over, over and over. Then we have a very, very tight position, not more than small third. And all of a sudden, he immediately changes and expands it for the 6. In the right hand, and then in left, arriving to the adagio cadence, which is by form, is a very Spanish cadence. It's a Spanish root gypsy roots, which later on came from Spain to the rest of Europe and became a very popular cadences in organ music. Deep basses and progressions of the fast notes. That's a typical organ improvisation, and also as well any keyboard instrument improvisation with the Spanish roots. So that was a first layer, transcendental study. And then we can go to the second layer, where we'll have content and philosophy. And we can find out what it's all about. That's how Bach's music works. So let's have a closer look to the layer under the technical problems. When everything is solved, and we're able to play it smooth and nice, enjoying a special pastime, and a special pastime when we can drag from all these enormous difficulties in every bar of all cycles, when we can drag the content and a beautiful philosophy and enjoy already communicating with Bach and God. And again, I'm not exaggerating. I'm saying exactly what it is all about. So let's briefly analyze the fundamental thoughts, architectural skeleton of this period. So we go to the harmony. What do we have here? In the very first three bar, we have what's on the Bach language means the death of Christ. So now we can understand why it is so aggressive, somber, dark, black, bloody. Because the soul about crucifixion. If you will ask me, how do I know this? As we all have to learn the semantics of music of every composer. We have to memorize the entire legacy of the composer. Not exactly memorize being able to perform, but memorize to have all the music written by this or that composer in our brain, in order to be able to understand his language. So, if you do this, if you really want to understand the language of Bach, or whoever, you have to memorize the entire legacy of the composer. Then, when you can play all in your brain, you will figure out what this or that particular semantic term talking about. And I will address you immediately to go and to be able to understand me, go and listen to the beginning of Johannes Passion, St. John's Passion. And in the very first choir, you will hear the same semantic form of expression, where the choir, opening choir, singing, Lord, Lord, oh Lord, prove that you're Son of God, and this is all about Easter, all about death of Christ on the cross, to whom the crowd addressing this cry, because they want him to prove that he is immortal, and he's Son of God, and he's a Savior. And then we'll have the same harmonies. Lord, Lord, unsere Herrscher. expression, the same music, even the same text. Only it's in G minor. But it doesn't matter. The tonality is completely other question. It has nothing to do with semantic and with senses and philosophy. So, when we know with words clear what it's all about, we are not mistaken. We cannot make any mistake knowing the language of the composer, knowing the entire legacy of the composer. So let's go through the harmonies of this short prelude. Appear to be philosophically, semantically, and verbally the story of the death of the son of God. So we have it in the beginning and in the end. It's all about Golgotha, about crucifixion, about the death of Jesus. So this is an architectural layer. Now let's go even deeper to another layer, how Bach operates with artistic images. He does top notes, and the rest is something which is in a totally different dimension and in different part of the universe, in frames of this narrative. If we all take the top notes as the feeling of betrayed Jesus, and the rest is a picture of the crowd and the natural forces and the sound of the space. There's all this ignorance, wild anger, cruelty, and complete frustration and messy humanity. And about this, the feelings of Jesus. He does the same in Johannes Passion, giving the top notes to the trumpets, and the rest, which is giving us the feeling of ignorant mass, the wild animal force, and the space code of nature is always in a different plane. And then we have this dramatic effect of lonely, betrayed spirit and the confronting to him sounds of space and nature. That's another layer of Bach artist, giving us the images of the confronting high spirit and the wild forces, whoever it might be, the ignorant masters, or his pupil betrayed him, or the force of nature, the sounds of cosmos. We can go on and on and on with the parallels, with the possible allusion, which might be the best in this beautiful picture. And of course, you can recognize how even this little prelude was ripped off by every composer, from Mozart and Beethoven and Chopin till the modern pop groups. They all have, they can actually have their entire legacy just based on 2 pages of Bach, which is really tragic and comic, sad and funny. And of course, you realize that the famous Chopin prelude was ripped off from here as well. It's all from this prelude. And whenever you dig in any composer, serious work, you will find out that architecture, composition methods, ideas of Johann Sebastian Bach, who've done more than 1,000 opuses with millions of ideas, from which only very few developed and used in a very plain and primitive form, and so much loved by people because it's too primitive. Unfortunately, people are still primitive, and it's too simple. And when it's too simple, when it's primitive, people understand it. Because if it's done with such a dignity and so refined, with such a perfect taste, you can only see this when you deeply understand music, when you deeply analyze it. It's all hidden in many layers, which are not frontal, not appearing frontally to your emotions. No, because Bach hate frontal emotions as a very high spirit. And he always puts all the emotional layers as deep as possible. So they would be only subconsciously received by the audience, because consciously understand what Bach is talking about, one have to be the greatest professional and enormously cultured and sensitive person. Otherwise, it will always stay uncovered. But as it's done so beautifully, so deep, subconsciously people receive it. Subconsciously people are attracted to music of Bach. And like Bach's music, subconsciously we love this prelude, not understanding anything, but subconsciously feeling that there is something deep inside. And today, I'm opening for you just several first few layers of the philosophy and narratives which are hidden in this short preludes. And of course, it's put as a study in incredibly aggressive and ruthless manner. When we hear it again, all closed, without disclosing all these underlayers, we have on the surface still it is so expressive and so wonderful that giving us this nature, the nature of ugly force, the destructive nature of cosmos and ignorance, which is on the surface. We still somehow with our guts feeling that it is not that simple as it sounds. There is something there. And there is the entire space, entire Christian era, entire human world connected with a deep space. So, and the fugue, I think I'll stop now, for now, with the prelude, because if I'll go deeper and deeper and deeper, I told you already that it will be forever. You can analyze, I already gave you the keys, what to see, what to look for, and how to analyze. And you will find, if you dig yourself, you'll find millions and millions of different allusions and philosophical thoughts in the short piece, because it's practically endless as a space, as a deep space. It's endless by its meanings, endless by its possible and impossible emotions and ideas. Fugue would be continuation of this dream apocalyptic point of human history. I will be just a crucifixion study where Bach puts on the surface as a study very difficult tasks of sustaining independence between three aggressive voices, which should be completely separate, and the middle voice always drifting from one thing to another on this level of tension and technical intensity. And at the same time, I already told you in my first report that the real polyphony should sound like a homophonic music, because what students do, what humans were doing, is completely wrong. What they do with polyphony, especially in well-tempered clavier, is a decay of music. It's a decay of thought. It's a decay of philosophy, and the entire music is falling apart. And it's not in correct tempos, and it's not in correct form. So the pure polyphony should be heard as a homophonic music with ability to see the current of every voice. So it should be all in one, but not the scholar-like, stupid, slow development of one voice, then another, then another, and another, which will never turn to the music. It will be always divided tones and bunch of senseless sounds. That's how humanity was playing, performing well-tempered clavier for 300 years, because it's too difficult in all senses. It's technically difficult, it's intellectually difficult, it's physically difficult, it's mentally difficult, it's psychologically difficult. It's too difficult to embrace everything, to bring it perfect as it should be, timeless, abstract, and at the same time speaking to us by every tone. So I think I'll finish for today on this, because I'm getting really angry with humans and I don't like to be angry. And I will continue next Sunday with report number 3, where we will move to the next tone of the West European tonal system, C sharp. Bye bye for now.